The time is at hand.
From the land of the rising crackheads in Williamson, West Virginia, you're in dark places. It's cold here. It's probably cold where you are as well. I think it's just cold everywhere. And I hate it. Used to, when I was a kid, it didn't bother me a bit, but it kills me now. Come on, let's have some spring. I'm ready for it. This week on the show, there's a little controversial subject that I'd like to discuss. The Mandela Effect. People either love this or they hate you for talking about it. I've been putting it off for like 3 years now. This was going to be one of the original topics on the show, and I was kind of afraid of the backlash. So here I am, finally opening up Pandora's box. I'm going to get hate mail for the rest of my life about this. The Mandela Effect. The Mandela Effect is a phenomenon in which people share a collective memory that never happened. It has sparked discussions about the nature of memories, reality, and even the possibility of parallel universes. Described as a phenomenon marked by shared and consistent false memories, the Mandela Effect often centers on specific, misremembered details in pop culture. We were going to cover this topic about 9 months ago as well. I started getting brave, and I posted the question on YouTube: what instance proved the Mandela Effect for you? And we got one reply. We don't have a big following on YouTube. If you're listening on some platform other than YouTube, stop over on YouTube and subscribe to us. It's lonely. We get some additional content over there that you don't find anywhere else. We have fun. But Gangsta Gardner said that the Mandela Effect is fake. It's made up by paranormal author Fiona Broom. So, thanks, Gangsta. Well, I'll tell you what instance proved the Mandela Effect for me. It was the Berenstain Bears. That was my first memory of something being kind of wonky. My mom used to read stories to me and my sister before we would go to bed at night. We had a couple of Berenstain Bears books, and there was a Berenstain Bears TV show in 1985. I wasn't a big fan of the show at all. My sister kind of liked it, and we had one TV at the time, and if she was watching it, I was watching it every Friday night. The thing about the Berenstain Bears that struck me as kind of odd was the way that it was spelled. I always pronounced it the Berenstain Bears. I've heard people say that it's the Berenstain Bears, but I always pronounced it the Berenstain Bears. But I thought it was kind of odd that it was spelled Berenstein, but it was pronounced Berenstain Bears. I thought that was weird, because it looked like by the way it was spelled, it should have been the Berenstain Bears, but it was called the Berenstain Bears. And I remember the weird little jingle on the cartoon. It just said the Berenstain Bears over and over. But the weird thing is, knowing what I know now, it was never spelled Berenstein. It was always spelled Bernstein. Berenstain, just like it's pronounced. So why do I have the memory of it being spelled as Berenstain Bears? That kind of stuck out to me, and that is my first instance of the Mandela Effect. In May of 2001, I was listening to Art Bell, as I did pretty much every night. He had this lady on his show named Fiona Broom, as previously noted by Gangsta. She was talking about parallel universes with art. They started talking about Nelson Mandela, and I didn't really know who in the world that was. I had heard of him, but I didn't really follow news and such things like that because it was boring to me. But I had heard of Nelson Mandela, and they started talking about how they both, Art and Fiona, remembered Nelson Mandela dying back in the 80s, and it was all over the news. CNN and everybody was talking about it for days. I started thinking about that, and I was thinking, yeah, I remember that. It was taking over the news there for a while, and it's basically all they were talking about because it was a slow news week or whatever. But in reality, Nelson Mandela was still alive, and he didn't pass away until 2013. So that was my second instance of the Mandela Effect. And I don't even think it had a name at that point, back in 2001, when Art Bell was talking about it with Fiona Broom. I think she just came up with that later on and started calling it the Mandela Effect, because that kind of became a common thread for people. Everybody was just like me, like, oh yeah, that guy died. So over the years, since around 2001 or whenever it was, I started seeing stuff popping up about these false memories. People remembering tons of stuff that didn't actually happen. And I thought it was super interesting. My dad was never a James Bond fan, but he would watch James Bond movies if they were on, and he had nothing else to do. I remember one day in 1980, before my sister was born, I was in the living room floor playing with my cars, like I always did, and begging my dad to play with me. And he was just tired from working all the time, and he said, I don't know how to play. Just play by yourself. So this one day, I was playing with my cars, and my dad was watching the James Bond movie, Moonraker. I wasn't really paying attention to the movie at all. I was just playing with my cars and everything, but I would glance up from time to time. There was cool music playing, and I would have to look up to see what was happening and stuff like that. And I remember at the end of the movie, this big guy named Jaws was kind of a loner and sad the entire movie, and he had big braces on his teeth. And at the end of the movie, he met this girl with pigtails and glasses, and he was happy to meet her and everything, and she actually understood him, and it was going to be a love connection. And she smiled at the end of the movie and revealed she had big braces on her teeth, just like Jaws. And then the movie kind of went off, and they lived happily ever after and enjoyed each other's company with their braces. So years later, I was watching these videos and stuff about the Mandela Effect, and they brought that up. The woman at the end of Moonraker did not have braces. And I was like, huh? Because that was the whole point. Jaws was a loner, and he couldn't find love. And he had met his soulmate there at the end of the movie because they both had braces. I remember this, 100%. Another one, going back to my childhood, was Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. I watched Mr. Rogers every day after school. I loved that guy. His little theme song is forever stuck in my brain. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. So imagine my surprise when the Mandela Effect was revealed that he never said, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. He says, it's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. I was shocked. That's probably my other biggie. I know Mr. Rogers said, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. You can't argue with me on that. This one here is a big one in the community, but I'm not so sure about it. On Star Wars, Darth Vader saying, Luke, I am your father. But in reality, he just said, no, I am your father. He never did say, Luke, I am your father. And that one, I'm not real sure on that one. I don't really entirely remember him saying, Luke, I am your father. I remember that being like a running gag on commercials and stuff like that, and TV shows and sitcoms. People would often say that, Luke, I am your father. But I don't remember if Darth Vader actually said that in the movie. I can't prove or disprove that one. Another big one in the community that I don't have a memory of is Jif peanut butter. People say that it was called Jiffy peanut butter. It's currently known as Jif, J-I-F, but people seem to remember it being J-I-F-F-Y. I don't remember that at all. My Aunt Tin would buy Jif peanut butter all the time, and I liked the little colors on the jar because I was a kid and colors amused me. And I always remember it was J-I-F, Jif peanut butter. So I don't have any memory of that Jiffy peanut butter. There is a cornmeal named Jiffy, so maybe they're getting that mixed up with the Jiffy cornmeal. Or maybe there's some people that experience some memories and other people experience other memories. That's also a big popular debate in the Mandela Effect community. Some people remember things different and other people don't, and it's just this whole weird little rabbit hole. People get into heated debates about this though, and they just hate each other for it. But with me, I just think it's fun. I don't care. Here's a big one. Oscar Mayer baloney. I remember the little jingle in the commercial saying my baloney has a first name. It's O-S-C-A-R. My baloney has a second name. It's M-E-Y-E-R. But in this reality, it's Oscar Mayer. M-A-Y-E-R. I don't know why people say Oscar Mayer if it's Oscar Mayer. I still hear it pronounced that way to this very day. People come in the store where I work and say, "Hey, don't you have any Oscar Mayer hot dogs?" And I point them in the right direction and I say, "Why, yes, we do have some Oscar Mayer. It's just always been Oscar Mayer to me." Oscar Mayer sounds stupid. It almost sounds as stupid as calling a UFO a UAP. It's Oscar Mayer. Another big one is the Queen song, "We Are the Champions." People remember the ending of the song saying, "No time for losers, 'cause we are the champions of the world," right at the end of the song. But now it doesn't say "of the world" at the end. It says it at different points in the song, but the ending of the song just says, "No time for losers, 'cause we are the champions." And it's just kind of dead air, and the song ends. So I can kind of remember that, where it has the long drawn out "of the world" at the end of it. So maybe there was like some live recordings of it or something like that, where Freddie Mercury said "of the world" at the end of it. Not sure on that one. The jury's still out. What about this one? The Monopoly Man. You know that game Monopoly? It drags on forever and it's kind of boring. That guy that's like the mascot for Monopoly always had a monocle, a little glass piece over one eyeball when I was a kid. I always remember that. That was his little trademark. He had that monocle. And now, in reality, he doesn't have the monocle, and he never has. This one's one that I wasn't really a fan of, so I don't know. But Pokemon, their little main character, Pikachu. People remember it having a black tail, and now it's just a yellow tail. I kind of remember seeing drawings and stuff of it, cartoons and people's t-shirts and stuff. It had a black tail though. But that's one that I'm not 100% on. I just kind of think that. Just seems right that he had a black tail. It doesn't look right with a yellow tail. How's that? I kind of sort of remember a movie in the 1990s starring comedian Sinbad called Shazam. Didn't really look like my type of movie. It had a bunch of kids in it and everything, and by that point I was a teenager and kind of steered away from smaller kids and stuff like that, as people do. But I remember seeing previews and stuff of a movie called Shazam with Sinbad. But in reality, that movie never existed. Here's one that's kind of like the Star Wars movie. I can't confirm or deny that this existed. But in the movie Forrest Gump, people say that Tom Hanks said, "Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get." But in reality, he says, life was like a box of chocolates. And I don't know. I liked that movie, Forrest Gump. Bought it on VHS when it first came out. I gave it to my mom as a Mother's Day present, but I just wanted it for myself because I thought it was a cool movie. She laughed about that. She thought that was kind of funny that I bought her something that I wanted for Mother's Day. I guess it's kind of dumb. But I kind of remember him saying that. I don't know. Life is like a box of chocolates. Maybe it was just like the little pop culture thing, since it was a big movie and people misquoted it in TV shows and t-shirts and stuff like that. The John F. Kennedy assassination. That was a big one for me, because I started really getting into conspiracy theories and stuff like that in the 90s. And I was watching the JFK Dallas video where he got shot, and I remember seeing over and over again the footage of a 4-seater limousine. There was 4 people in the limousine. There was 4 seats in the limousine when Kennedy got shot. But in reality, it was one of those stretch limousines with 6 seats, and there were 6 passengers in the car. And that seems just insanely crazy to me, because on those TV shows that I would watch in the 90s, they would play that clip over and over again, trying to determine where the bullet came from and stuff like that. Slow motion, instant replay, stuff like that. It was 4 seats. But apparently, it didn't happen that way. I was not a real big fan of I Love Lucy. My wife loves it. My mom liked watching it when I was a kid, and I saw it on while she was watching it. And I always remember Ricky Ricardo saying, "Lucy, you got some splaining to do." That was his tagline. It was in numerous episodes. Lucy would do something kind of mischievous, break a window out of the house or whatever, tear the gutter off the house, drop the air conditioner out of the house, stuff like that. And Ricky would come in all mad and say, "Lucy, you got some splaining to do." And in reality, he never said that on any single episode. I kind of remember commercials of that funny little bear guy in the overalls and stuff. Smokey the Bear. Only you can prevent forest fires. It turns out there was no "the" in his name. It's just Smokey Bear, which just sounds insanely stupid to me. It was always Smokey the Bear, right? I was a big fan of Kit Kat candy bars when I was a kid. Back when it was actual candy, and it was made with good stuff, and sugar and everything. Not this crap with corn syrup and food coloring and stuff that they have now. It was an actual candy bar, and it was great. And I remember there was always a hyphen in between the letters KIT hyphen KAT. But in reality, there was no hyphen in between Kit and Kat. I just thought that maybe they updated the logo or something and they quit including that, but it was never there. Weird. I remember when Silence of the Lambs first came out. I wasn't a big fan of it. I didn't watch it until years later. But one of the most iconic parts of the movie was where Anthony Hopkins says, "Hello, Clarice." Imagine my shock when I found out he never said that. He just says, "Good morning." So maybe that was another one of those things where there was t-shirts and stuff like that made about it, and they just made that up about it, saying, "Hello, Clarice." Maybe. Who knows? That movie, Risky Business. People remember him dancing around and wearing nothing but a button-down shirt, his tidy whities, and a pair of sunglasses. But he was actually not wearing sunglasses. That seems kind of weird to me too. That's kind of an iconic thing. That was it. He had sunglasses on. It was funny because he didn't have any pants, but he had sunglasses. Another one of those iconic moments was in the cartoon Snow White. The famous tagline was, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" But in this timeline, that never happened. You watch the DVD and stuff of it now, and it says, "Magic mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" And that's another one that just sounds so out of place and dumb to me. It was "Mirror, mirror." I was always really artistic, loved drawing all my life. I took loads of art classes in school, and I studied art history, and I clearly remember the Mona Lisa painting not having that weird little smirk on her face that she has now. She was just kind of solemnly staring. But now you look at the painting and she's got this weird smile on her face, and it's not right. When I was little, I would go into this little department store in Williamson called Cantees. My mom used to work there. She would take me in there. After she quit working, she was still shopping there. And they would sell these underoos. Fruit of the Loom made kids' underwear that had little cartoon characters and stuff on them, called underoos. And I can clearly remember the Fruit of the Loom logo having that cornucopia on the logo. That was the iconic look. But in this timeline, the Fruit of the Loom logo does not have a cornucopia on it. I didn't eat a lot of cereal when I was a kid. My mom cooked for us. We ate actual meals, and we didn't have cereal and stuff very often. But I clearly remember Fruit Loops in the commercials and stuff being spelled Fruitloops. Fruit Loops. They had fruit colors, fruit flavors. It was fruity. But now it's spelled F-R-O-O-T. Fruit Loops. And it just looks very wrong. What about that actress Sally Field? When I was growing up, my mom was a big fan of her work. Her and Meg Ryan. She loved those two ladies. She watched all their movies. And I always remember it being Sally Fields with an S at the end. But now there's no S. She's just Sally Field. And there's a famous moment when she won an Oscar award. And she got up to accept the award. She said, "You like me, you really like me." And people were cheering and like, "Yeah, of course we like you. You're great." But she actually didn't say that. In her acceptance speech now, if you watch the videos, she says, "I can't deny the fact that you like me right now. You like me." And how dumb is that? That makes no sense. I thought this one was kind of weird. Ed McMahon and the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes. I have a vivid memory of Ed McMahon interrupting my favorite TV shows in the 80s and 90s, ringing people's doorbells and giving them a big huge check and balloons after they won the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes. It was funny because he was the Tonight Show sidekick, but he actually never did endorse Publishers Clearinghouse. He endorsed their rival company, American Family, which is understandable that you could get that mixed up. Maybe it was American Family that he was ringing the doorbell and giving people the big fake check and congratulating them and stuff. But in reality, he never once appeared on camera with the commercials. So double whammy with that one. Also, in my childhood, I was a big fan of Bugs Bunny and Looney Tunes. And I know, without a shadow of a doubt, Looney Tunes was spelled Looneytons. Looney Tunes. Because they were cartoons, and it was the shortened form of cartoons. They were Looney cartoons. But now, when you look at any pictures online or anything of the show, it's Looney Tunes. Tunes, which makes no sense. There wasn't a lot of singing. Why would it be Looney Tunes? In the 90s, I remember seeing Skechers shoe commercials when Skechers first became a thing. And their little trademark thing at the end was, "It's the S, man. It's the S." And it was spelled like it is pronounced. Sketchers. Skechers. But now that T wasn't there. It's just Skechers. And it looks really dumb. Another one where the spelling just looks really off to me. Febreze air fresheners. I remember those commercials in the 90s when it first became popular and stuff. And it was spelled Febreze. But now it's just suddenly spelled Febreze. It's spelled like it says Febreze, which makes no sense. It's Febreze, so why would it not be spelled Febreze? That one just seems odd to me too. So what's the deal? Why are people remembering things that didn't really happen? Some people think that it's those evil overlords at CERN. They opened up some kind of wormhole and changed everything, or they made a black hole and killed everyone, and we're all in a different universe now or something. I'm saying that we all died in 2012 and we're living in a parallel universe now. People have a lot of weird theories about it. but no one knows what's going on. It's like one of those great mysteries. Who killed Kennedy? What's the deal with 9/11? Those towers melting and everything? Why did Fauci create COVID? Stuff like that we'll never know. But there you go, kids. There's some Mandela effects for you. Do you remember anything that I didn't mention here? What's your favorite? What proved the theory to you? We'd love to hear about it. Send an email to indarkplacespod@hotmail.com. That's all of the big show for right now. We'll see you again next week. Thanks for listening. God bless.